Hi, my name is Sam Calagione, founder of Dogfish Head Craft Brewery. One of the things Dogfish Head's known for is brewing with exotic ingredients. Raisins, honeys, strawberries, scrapple, oranges, brown sugar, human saliva. If you can name it, odds are we've brewed with it. But there is one old world style Dogfish has embraced, tweaked, and reinvented, and that's the hop-forward IPA. Hops are the go-to spice for beer. They add bold aromas and flavors. Notes of pine, citrus, earthiness, floral, tropical fruit. Traditionally, many brewers make 2 hop additions. They add 1 big dose of hops early in the boiling process for flavor, and they add another bunch at the end for aroma. So back in the mid-90s, we started messing around with extreme versions of super hoppy IPAs. We would put foolhardy quantities of hops in these IPAs and share them with coworkers to get feedback. While people love the pungent hoppiness of these beers, they had a really pronounced bitterness that seemed out of balance. So what I wanted was a really, really hoppy beer that wasn't crushingly bitter. One day I was brewing in the pub and I caught a few minutes of a cooking segment on the TV above the bar. The chef was describing this method of adding small pinches of fresh cracked pepper to soup in equal increments the entire time the soup boiled. He said, "This method brings more complexity and evenness to the spice of the dish than if I added the whole volume of pepper at the same time." It was an aha moment. I decided we could take the same approach with hops. I'd feed the beer a continual thin stream of hop pellets the entire time it boiled. But how the heck am I going to do that? If you were around the 1970s, you might remember these old vibrating football games with metal or plastic players. With that one little guy that just kind of did endless donuts over there in the corner, then fell down. I found a vintage version of the game at a Salvation Army store, brought it back and MacGyvered it. Filled the bucket with hot pellets, duct taped it to the game, angled it over the boil kettle, and let her rip. Sure enough, the vibrations caused the hop pellets to drive out of the bucket, down the vibrating football game, and into the boiling beer. A few weeks later, the beer went on tap at the Brewpub, and this time, it was a hit. The continual hopping made it outrageously hoppy without being crushingly bitter. That first football rig only lasted like 1 or 2 batches before the steam coming off the beer killed the electronics. Since then, much more sophisticated 2nd, 3rd, and now 4th generation contraptions have taken over our continual hopping process. But the theory and execution are essentially unchanged. To help celebrate Dogfish Head's 20th anniversary, I threw down a challenge. I asked our super talented maintenance crew, who have an awesome set of tools, to find one of those old vibrating football games and recreate the OG continual hopping machine. They kind of laughed, but they accepted the challenge and got serious. Off they went, and boom, in a few weeks they had a prototype. It wasn't quite there yet, but it looked awesome, and you could tell good things were coming. So a few more weeks of work, and we are finally ready to bring back the OG vibrating football game for a batch of Squall. Squall is an unfiltered, naturally carbonated version of our 90-minute IPA. So Lou and Mike from our maintenance team brought the fine-tuned, continually hot football field down to the pub and fired it up. It was game time. It was a thing of beauty. Just as it did nearly 2 decades ago, the vibrating football game released a tiny stream of hops into the boiling wort throughout the boil. Lou, Mike, and the rest of the maintenance crew nailed it. Touchdown! So I've probably told the story of the vibrating football game and the advent of continual hopping like every other day for the last 17 years. But it's been just as long since I've actually seen the old game in action. I'm not gonna lie, it was kind of emotional and one of the coolest experiences I've had at Dogfish. So thanks Lou, thanks Mike, and thanks Greg for making this game come back to life. And thank you guys for digging continually hot beers. Cheers.